easy to help protect your child's identity. KidSure uses patent-pending technology to search and monitor thousands of online data sources for information related to your child. If information is found that could be potentially harmful, you'll be alerted to it quickly. Even better, KidSure costs you less than $5 a month per child when added to your Identity Guard membership. Learn more about KidSure at identityguard.com.
My wife's monthly trip to the beauty salon was really adding up. I mean, between dyeing her roots and trimming the dead ends, we were going dead broke. So to save some money, I'm cutting it for her while she sleeps. Shh. No, don't wake up yet. Go to sleep, you're almost gorgeous. Oh, she is going to love this.
There's an easier way to save. Get online. Go to geico.com. Get a quote. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The views of this program are not necessarily the views of KJLL Radio, its management, or its sponsors. The host is solely responsible for its content. Enjoy.
The Jake Feinberg Show, it's on now. KJLL 1330 AM. Tune on in. Please listen up to some jazz interviews each week with the heavies. Don't you know? Pat Martino, George Duke, John Hurt, Dick Burke, Al Gaffa, Nat Hentoff. The Jake Feinberg Show, it's on now. On KJLL 1330 AM. Welcome everybody inside the studios of KJLL 1330 The Jolt. This is the Jake Feinberg Show. Happy New Year to everybody from Tucson to Philadelphia. My guest today is an old friend of the show, a spiritual sage of sorts who gave my archival tribute immediate gravitas with his appearance back in early April. At the time he told me, "Jake, I am really excited about what's about to unfold." At the time, I accepted the compliment, but did not take it seriously. Now, sitting here on the precipice of a new year after over 100 interviews, using several of these interviews to help complete a book on Cal Tjader, a tribute concert to Gene Russell and black jazz, and finding a family I never knew existed, I now know what he was referring to. My guest hasn't had a bad year himself. A recently published autobiography came out about him called The Here and Now, and about his storied existence. I'm quoting one review. Who but Pat Martino could write a memoir that effortlessly moves from discussions of Zen and expanded consciousness to street descriptions of Harlem in the mid-'60s? Welcome back, Pat Martino.
Hi, Jake. A happy New Year to you, my friend.
Thank you, man. And I appreciate you putting me on this journey. And it's about being present in the now. And it's an emboldening feeling. It's not something I've always had. And I was wondering what you first thought when I approached Joe D'Onofrio, I think his name, your manager.
Yeah, Joe D'Onofrio.
You know, such an unsung hero because he passed the information to you immediately. And you got back to me, and I was wondering what you first thought when I approached you about doing a radio interview with the kind of topics I was interested in.
I never, to be honest with you, I never really ponder upon such things. I take things at the moment. And to me, it was a very clear and precise description of an upcoming interview with a serious individual like yourself. And I took it for what it was initially introduced as, with no more than that. And looking forward, as I am at this very moment, for what takes place in reference to it.
The whole idea of my show is to highlight the accompanist. And you were an accompanist when you were much younger. What, when you really didn't know your way in the world. And, I wanted you to tell me the best you can, guys like Willis Jackson, guys like Jack McDuff, guys like Billy James and Don Patterson, how did these guys treat you, knowing that you were just a baby bear in the world?
They treated me in complete concordance with their responsibilities in terms of the evolution of their experience. When I entered the ensemble, no matter who it was, whether it was Jack Macduff or whether it was Willis or Don or just so many others, Lloyd Price and many others during those years, when I entered into their life, I then was subject to the rules and regulations of their intentions. And their intentions were very normal and very down on the ground. They were to not only survive but be as successful as possible with regards to promotion to their product, which was jazz, or in some cases rhythm and blues, organ trios, and it was to survive. It was to survive for the sake of continuity, and that continuity was their deep enjoyment of the blessings they were gifted with from the very beginning, and that was the ability to communicate as jazz artists, the real thing, and not really be so concerned with the world that was taking place around their opportunities. They seem to exist within the moment. And there was a world in itself for each of those experiences for me.
It's beautifully said. Pat, I wanted to ask you, tell me a little bit about your reactions to this beautiful autobiography that just came out.
Well, gosh, I really have no reaction to it. I have no reaction to something that's complete.
But I mean, there's no ego there, none.
No, I really.
Oh, that's great.
It's very difficult to think about yesterday when today is so important.
But and I when I met you in Philadelphia at your brownstone, and you talked to me about the fact that every day is a new day, in the sense that you have little to no memory from the day or two before.
Yeah, that's right.
And I say to myself, oh my gosh, listening back to that interview, I said, isn't it much easier to live in the now, in that condition?
It truly is. But, I mean, you must keep in mind that there are certain priorities that do remain, they more or less hover. They hover over your intentions, over your focus. For instance, I have upcoming events that shall take place, and they are shelved as upcoming events. So these are things that do exist in the moment, but they're not pondered over, and they're not really focused upon until I get closer to those appointed dates. As far as what took place already, I think the interest and the intention to be as precise and as accurate as possible in everything I do has a great deal to do with coming to rest once something is done. When something is completed, I know I did the best I could up into that moment. And then from that moment forward, it's foolish to entertain myself with memories of something that already has come to fruition.
I will ask you again about the idea of somebody who lives in reality, like myself, but also derives extreme pleasure from piecing together parts of history. And that being said, being able to live in the now while focusing on things that happened beforehand, that is still credible in my mind.
Well, I do think it is credible to be involved in focusing attention upon important events, important individuals, and that's that's something that certain individuals are really gifted with. And when that takes place, there's a framework for that has a great deal to do with commitment. And at the moment, from moment to moment, doing the best one can do to add to the evolution of those historic times, and to be able to continue to evolve in terms of all of the information that comes forward, that comes up. It's an addition to the encyclopedic collection of history, you know. So I think that's essential. It depends upon a person's intentions, what their intentions are, and what they want to use that process for.
Here's the crux of it, is that when I go back in time to Ron Krasinski, Eric Klaas, Ron Thomas, Pat Martino, Bobby Rose, you relate that musical experience to social interaction, love, intimacy.
Personally, I do, yes.
Yes. And then coming out of the surgery, the neurosurgery, you found your love of music not through pushing, pleading, but through technology, through a computer.
Yes.
And so you had said, the music I made after I came out of surgery came from inside, whereas opposed to the music you were making with Eric and Ron and Bobby was intimate and social. Where does the balance come in the 21st century for young musicians who want to move forward and are striking a balance? Because I think there's a technology balance. It's out of balance now. That's my opinion. I would like yours.
Well, when you refer to young musicians, I think it's a broader gain to apply what's going to be said not only to musicians but in every walk of life. I think the individual, he or she, no matter what they intend to do in terms of the responsibility that comes with devotion to any given craft, no matter what that craft may be, it's a vehicle, it's a tool, and it's something that can be utilized as a key to enter different phases of social interaction, cultural interaction on a global basis. If it is confined to the craft itself, then the only thing valid and legitimate for any individual who chooses to do so is to be a craftsman at the highest level, and that is to be respected and cherished. And, of course, at the end of a work day, then to leave that behind and close the doors of the office and go back to your home and live the regular way of living. I don't think the artist is concerned so much with the office. In fact, in most cases, most artists in every field of endeavor seem to be very abstract and elusive when it comes to applications to participate in the ongoing system, social system of any of the continents that they're functioning within. It comes down to the student or the youngsters that you're referring to. It comes down to them paying more attention to exactly what their intentions truly are. Let's say a young musician or a young individual, better yet, not a musician as a craftsman, but a young individual, has the intention of, through experiencing pleasure from music itself, has the intention of getting involved in the music industry, in the music business, and goes to a university at the highest level to study music and all of its implicated demands. He or she then goes through semester to semester and finally graduates. And at the end of that graduation, walks in retrograde in the same direction that they entered that university, leaves the university, and now is on the street. The first thing that comes to mind is the amount of debt that they have succumbed to. They have succumbed to.
Yes, of course.
There's an immense amount of responsibility, economic responsibility, to be able to meet up to what they owe that educational system, to pay it back. Well, when you begin to think of the true result of all of that learning, when you see it in a broader panoramic view, when you see that from a distance as objectively as possible, you now see that if you were to have a screen of percentages from 0 to 100%, and you were to draw horizontally across that plate how much time the musician truly performs, you then would have maybe 13% is performance, where 87% is spent in airports, going through security, in hotels, accommodations with regards to checking in and checking out,
yes,
the quality of the rooms from one engagement to another, the location in each of the cities in each of the countries, and how far it is to get to the performance, and whether or not transportation contractually has been provided by the production company that is handling it, the condition of the other members of the ensemble psychologically, physically as well. All of these things within that 87% of realities that go along with the performance itself now bring the individual to a decisive moment of evaluation, re-evaluation. Because initially when they went into wanting to be a jazz artist, or wanting to be a classical artist, or wanting to be a rock artist, or wanting to be any kind of artist, it came down to the fact that they were unaware of all of the implications that went with it.
Mm.
And now it's a decisive moment for them to look back and reevaluate if this information makes sense to them, whether they really want to get involved in something like that.
I would argue that the monetary part of it, when you're you come out of debt, you come out of school with a lot of debt, and you have money to pay back, you're not going to make good music if your primary God is money. And the corporate state has really fractured the ability of younger musicians to be able to make quality music. Because let's face it, when you were gigging in the 60s at Will Chamberlain's old club Smoke, which is now an IHOP, you weren't making a lot of money. And it was all about love. And the callousness of the corporate state, the exaggerated corporate state, the berserko capitalism, has hurt music.
Well, I'm sure, I agree that it can be seen that way. But one thing that I think is the most practical conclusion of it all for each of us as individuals is to finally have a standpoint in how we decisively place ourselves in the midst of this conglomeration of all of these different facets. I personally have come to a very general acceptance of all things as either one or another of side of the same coin. One side is, as in music a term would relate to that, as consonant, while the other side is dissonant. And both of these intervals or both of these harmonies blend together. In fact, they mirror image from each other. And by the same token, when we are in a position that we find the corporate malevolence that is taking place to be negative toward our intentions, we fail to see the ability to adapt and utilize the opportunity to be for our intentions and to reestablish and take the shape that is due at that moment so that we can have the opportunity to manipulate from within itself, to be able to use these things for the better part of all the things that are involved in it. In other words, when I am in that airport it's a very difficult moment in terms of the elusive responsibilities that spring up out of nowhere. If there's a flight delay, if I have a specific time, a deadline that I've got to be in flight to the destination, and there is at a moment's notice a problem that comes up, and that flight is either postponed or canceled, is delayed or canceled, I then have an emotional feeling that enters me that is extremely dissonant, when prior to that event, everything was very consonant and very blending with happiness and excitement. Suddenly, it seemingly has been disarrayed by some crazy, messed up problem that enters into my existence. I've learned to see that, of course, through experience, and please remember that. I've learned through experience to hold off the mind and the thoughts that explode within it that are extremely vicious and extremely dissonant. And just wait a while. And you know how I learned that? I stood in line with maybe 40 or 50 other people during a cancellation of a flight. And I would say 48 of the others, was just as frustrated and red in face with all kinds of emotions volcanically surging up from my ego itself.
Right.
And I looked all the way to the other side of the line, or to the end toward the line, and I saw an older man or an older woman or a younger child with a smile on their face in the midst of this chaos. Mm-hmm. And since I stood where I stood in the line, there was no way I could get to the counter fast enough to make a flight change. I knew that there was going to be a problem. But of course, it was not my fault. And because of that, there was no breach of contract. And so I stood there, and I learned more about myself and my emotions. And there was something much more valuable to learn about life itself than there was about the engagement that was interrupted by elements that could not be dealt with and were out of control, very much like a snowstorm, that you couldn't leave that particular airport because all flights were postponed. So now when you go back to the child that's in school, if that individual has the insight and the awareness and the sensitivity and the enlightenment to be able to, in any situation, learn more about the human process and learn more about the emotional system and how to adapt, then that individual has journeyed into a completely different path. And on that path, that individual, he or she, shall learn a little bit more about the fluid of life in such a way that is very similar to liquid. When you pour liquid into a coffee cup, it takes the shape of that cup. When you pour it into a wine glass,
Pat, I am loving this, but we have to take a hard break.
Well, you understand what I'm describing.
Absolutely. We're coming back with Aya and Pat Martino.
Fine.
At the bottom of the hour, this is the Jake Feinberg Show, New Year's Eve edition, live on KJLL, The Jolt.
From y'all, help us out with this song. We're gonna bring in the horns. We'll have everybody sing.
CNN Radio, I'm Shelby Lynn. Cities across the world are welcoming in the new year with big celebrations. That's Seoul, South Korea, counting down the final seconds of 2011 earlier today. Most of Europe is getting ready to ring in the new year shortly. London is very much looking forward to 2012. The city is hosting the Summer Olympics, but Deputy Mayor Richard Barnes says he just wants to put 2011 behind him.
Normally we say, it's glorious to bring 2012 in with a bang. I think a lot of us are going to be happy that we're seeing 2011 disappear with a glorious bang.
It's a final stretch leading to the nation's first vote in the race for the Republican presidential nomination Tuesday in Iowa. Most of the candidates are spending the weekend on the campaign trail in a last-minute push for votes. The most trusted name in news, this is CNN Radio.
The year is quickly coming to a close, so now's the time to prepare for the new one.
Hurry into Sears Auto Center this week to save big on all top tire brands. Plus, get an extra $70 via mail-in rebate on 4 qualifying Michelin tires. And get a Valvoline oil change for just $21.99 with coupon, and we'll throw in a $5 Sears coupon to help you tackle the rest of your holiday shopping list while you wait. Go to SearsAuto.com for more money-saving offers and coupons. That's real deals for real drivers. Sears Auto Center. Sale and rebate ends 1/3. Coupon good through 12/31. Exclusions apply. See store for details.
As if parents don't have enough to worry about these days, there's been a growing trend of kids having their identities stolen. Fortunately, Identity Guard KidSure now makes it easy to help protect your child's identity. KidSure uses patent-pending technology to search and monitor thousands of online data sources for information related to your child. If information is found that could be potentially harmful, you'll be alerted to it quickly. Even better, KidSure costs you less than $5 a month per child when added to your Identity Guard membership. Learn more about KidSure at identityguard.com. As if parents don't have enough to worry about these days, there's been a growing trend of kids having their identities stolen. Fortunately, Identity Guard KidSure now makes it easy to help protect your child's identity. KidSure uses patent-pending technology to search and monitor thousands of online data sources for information related to your child. If information is found that could be potentially harmful, you'll be alerted to it quickly. Even better, KidSure costs you less than $5 a month per child when added to your Identity Guard membership. Learn more about KidSure at identityguard.com.
My wife's monthly trip to the beauty salon was really adding up. I mean, between dyeing her roots and trimming the dead ends, we were going dead broke. So to save some money, I'm cutting it for her. While she sleeps. Shh. No, don't wake up yet. Go to sleep, you're almost gorgeous. Oh, she is going to love this.
There's an easier way to save. Get online. Go to geico.com. Get a quote. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Folks, stress is at an all-time high in the Western world. Physical release of that stress is a major way to adjust your frame of mind. Deep body massage expert Shuli Shi is Tucson's most artful and soothing therapist. Doesn't matter. Deep tissue, prenatal, or Swedish massages, Shuli can do it all at an affordable price. Each session lasts an hour and is only $40. Contact Shuli Shi at 270-3452 for the massage of your life. Professional massage therapist Shuli Shi at 270-3452. Check her out today and loosen up. Folks, this is Jake Feinberg. When it came time to decide where to buy my daughter a piano last year, the choice was easy. We got it at Hackenberg & Sons Piano Company. Located at 4333 East Broadway Boulevard, Hackenberg & Sons is Tucson's longest-running family-owned piano business. Run by 3 brothers and a son, they pride themselves on superior instruments and customer satisfaction. It's why they've been around so long. And it's why their pianos are used at the University of Arizona, Pima Community College, and many other prestigious institutions. So whether it's for your child, business, or yourself, when you buy a piano, make sure you go to Hackenberg & Sons. It'll be the beginning of a long-lasting partnership. For more information, visit them at hackenbergpiano.com. Folks, this is Jake Feinberg. One of the first things I wanted to do when I moved to Tucson was find authentic Chinese cuisine. After a tip from the Chinese Student Association, I headed over to Badar Chinese Restaurant. Well, it's been 7 years, and I have never looked back. Located at 7321 East Broadway Boulevard, Badar has been a family-run operation since 1992. The award-winning chef produces succulent dishes from sizzling ginger chicken to salt and pepper shrimp. The thing that separates Badar from the rest is that the chef procures ancient oriental dishes with the exotic island flair of Taiwan. Most importantly, there are no gimmicks or razzle-dazzle at Badar. You won't find any flat-screen TVs or karaoke machines. Badar is a place to go enjoy good food and spend time with your family. It exudes peace and tranquility after a long week of work. So come down and check out Badar Chinese Restaurant. Hong Hao Chu. It's that good. In this day and age, people have a lot to protect. You want to know that when you're insuring valuable goods, you have an agent you can trust. Craig Pretzinger is that agent. For auto, home, and life insurance, the Pretzinger Agency is Tucson's most honest and flexible insurance company. Have off-road vehicles or motorhomes? Pretzinger can cover that as well. Pretzinger Agency at 299-5810, located across the street from Sullivan's Steakhouse on the southwest corner of River and Camp. Trust, compassion, and service. The whole package at Pretzinger Agency. Call 299-5810 or text QUOTE to 602-459-5533 to receive a no-obligation quote.
Duke Ellington's inspired metaphor, dig not the distortion, got my wheels turning. If you think the sun has set on the golden age of hi-fi, stop the presses. Stereo Hospital is the light at the end of the tunnel. At 4044 East Speedway, it is your oasis in the desert of broken stereo dreams. Whether it's a dead silent amp or a broken needle, owner Jeff Brucker does it all, from the heavy lifting to the icing on the cake. A guaranteed, quick, and reasonably priced repair will put you back on the sunny side of the street. We know that music has charms to soothe the savage beast, so don't cast your old components to the winds. Visit us on the web at stereohospital.com or find us inside the Metronome Music Store, east of Alvernon at 4044 East Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defense rests.
Brought to you by Mixed Metaphors. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Be a part of a new coalition with Jake Feinberg. The second half of my show starts right now. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back to the Jake Feinberg Show. And we're back with legendary guitar player Pat Martino. And a really exciting moment here for the Jake Feinberg Show. A famous moment here. My first female guest. I'd like to welcome in Pat's wife, Aya. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Aya.
Jake, how are you? Happy New Year.
Thank you so much for taking the time, and Happy New Year to you, too. I think the Japanese, they celebrate the same New Year as the Americans. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah,
they already had a New Year already, 12 hours ago, 6 hours ago.
Of course, no, but I mean, like the Chinese New Year, February, but the Japanese don't have they celebrate the Western New Year. So Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year.
And, listen, I know part of one of the reasons I came in contact with your husband, I'm convinced, is to in some ways recreate musical memory for Pat, and do it in a way that is scintillating, and also it's also sort of a vision to the past. So I'm going to play you a track of music. This is your husband. I don't know if he's heard it in a long time, but I want you to listen to the dissonance, the consonants, and all the love, okay?
Sure, thank you.
Aya, are you there? Aya?
Yes.
Yeah, so is that fire? You can see that fire and you still feel that fire in your husband?
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, because that was from 1972. Is Pat still on the line too?
Sure, he's online.
Yes, I'm here.
Pat, do you know what that's from, or have you heard that in a long time?
I sure do. That's from Barry Miles's White Heat.
Oh, you have been listening to your older stuff.
Well, no, I mean, but I just remember I get flashed images of the past.
Oh my God! That
I remember the guitar itself. It was a Univox 12-string.
You know, I was going to say, because Pat, I'll tell you something. Because life is not easy, and your solo in that song is hyperbolic in some stages, and to me that allows me to get through some very difficult psychological times for myself, just because you just become it's out of body at that point. Can you describe that kind of feeling? Because you still play like that today.
I don't know whether I do or not.
I mean,
to be honest with you,
it might be the best.
I would have to wait until the moment comes, and after it's done, hear it,
right,
like I did that time.
Now, did you? Well, it's not even worth it. You know, I love the generation of sort of prodigal sons that came out of that time with Barry and Terry Silverlight, yourself, Lou Tabak, and Eric Klaas. You know, those. It was a special group of guys that were. They were book smart, but at the same time, it was not just about sitting in a classroom. You know, it was about getting that experience on the street, was it not?
I think so. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you. Last time we talked at your house, you brought up something that was, I think, very therapeutic, and I wanted you to talk to the audience about it. You wake up in the mornings and play dual guitars with Pat Martino.
Yes.
And can you talk about how that evolved, like from the beginning, and then how it became a relationship, spiritual and instrumentational? Can you take us through that?
Well, that is going to be a long story. So
that's okay.
So make not the short, but I want to insert some good feeling to everybody, and to start. Feeling good is to pick up anything they like, pick up instrument, and to feel with it. Then they may find with a good posture. First, that's important. What I needed is a good posture, and to keep a good posture, I did the yoga by playing with the guitar. And to have good posture, I needed good nutrition, and so on and so. And to do that, we need a good mind. And realizing everything as one. Nothing can be missed. Every income or intake is the outcome.
Do you understand that, Jake?
I mean, to the point that
see what you're saying is it's not only the playing, it's many other facets.
Of course.
When all unified as one, there's fulfillment that is a very holistic pleasure. It's all of these things put together.
Well, no, I think what I was getting at in my head was that for people like, you know, Aya, you came to the United States in 1995, and you did not speak any English at all. So early on, the mode of communication was physical, spiritual, and music. And I say to myself, there are so many biracial couples, I'm included in that, in this country now, where communication is, there can be breakdowns. And I just think it's so unique to talk about how instruments can really form bonds when you can't communicate through language.
Sure, right. Yeah, there was time that I couldn't speak. Now, I find myself I can't speak. It's even harder for me to speak now because I can choose the word. But music, when I play with Pat especially, it's amazing that music as a language, universal language, that's what you are talking about, Jake.
Yes.
That's so beautiful. It's beyond word. the word I learned. And there was a misunderstanding happening over between relationship. I know that this happens to everybody. But music, look, if we speak in music, that's honestly truth. No more, no less. That's it. And that's how we communicate. The true bottom part of our feeling is communicated through music, and I find it so wonderful.
I agree with you. I find it that way too. There's times when Jake, there's times when both of us make sure that we play, whether we feel like doing it or not. At a given moment where it's needed, it really acts as a healer. You know, it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I would say it's like it would be like a cleansing, like where you can go in. I can imagine like at breakfast, you know, your conversation's more stimulated. All your senses are more stimulated because you've been communicating in a nonverbal fashion, but yet making each other feel so good. I mean, it's just so unique, and you see it all the time. And that was the other thing, you know, Pat. I wanted to talk to you because there was something about the idea of musicians who are married and how they, that's the other unique part of it, is that Aya and you don't have to worry about the barrier that music often puts between a domesticated couple. Oftentimes you have mothers staying home with the kids while the guys are out at the gig. And you guys, it is such a unique experience. I wonder if it could be kind of a, marriage counseling technique, you know, getting people to play music more together.
I think that's a great idea.
It's a great idea also.
Because they can sing if they are hard to put the instrument together. They can sing. They can dance many ways other than language.
I think it comes down to a decision by both parties. I obviously had the ability to function to function mechanically as a musician, as a guitarist specifically. When I had decided to move into that realm of communication, it was a difficulty for her to do so. She had to really come in and want to do this, and want to take the time and the effort to learn how to play some of the things that we have mastered together. In the front of it, it was very demanding of her. And I think, you know, in any case, you take a musician with any instrument, and if his mate, if his wife, really wants to get closer to that part of their relationship, it's going to call for her to really demand his attention and to literally ask him to allow her to come in. And in the meantime, that's a lot of work for her to be able to begin to devote time. And literally, when you come down to it, she's devoting that time for their relationship. It's an investment on her behalf.
Yeah, and it's not quantitative either. You know, the thing is, we talk sometimes about being able to see the future. You know, sometimes you think you can, sometimes you think you can't. I feel the same way. I have mixed feelings. I guess it boils down to the word faith. But, you know, the reality is, I wanted to ask you, you know, how you thought going into 2012 in your situation, how you can better the Philadelphia area through your talents in music and your heart. If you even had thought about that, because I think we need a lot of cultural healers in our society now, and you guys are still you have such a great philosophy on life. So I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that.
That's a great thing to always to share a great idea and feel great together, and we are up for that.
Do you ever think about? Do you work with the youth? You work with kids?
You're asking for like a union work?
No, I mean like do you go to schools and play music with kids?
No, not yet. I haven't done yet. Actually, since I moved, I have been so busy with just settling in, including Pat's recovery, my recovery, and finding how to live in my way, be creative, and still moving. And no, I haven't had a chance yet, but that sounds very much fun.
Pat, what do you think? Do you think am I crazy here?
No, I don't think so at all. I think it's a very valid question, and I think that it's also important to clarify that what Aya is describing to you is in part the difficulty and the long run it is to be able to absorb any kind of definition to a culture and a society that is so far different than where her roots are from. You must understand and keep in mind that she has come halfway across the globe, here, and it's like the opposite side of the world has opposite meanings for many things, and it's very demanding to reorganize and reevaluate all the things that you thought you realized a long time ago, and suddenly you're seeing the opposite taking place. So that, I think, has a great deal to do with it. And it's been something that both of us, both Aya and myself, have really seen as a challenge. One of the things that has been truly beneficial of it is that it has forced us to relate more to the moment than to what the intentions are in terms of a sequential itinerary that we go into a school and we perform for the kids. We haven't gotten to that stage performance-wise yet. I'm sure that may come up in the future, but so far, there are so many facets that linger that the best thing for us to do is to really focus attention on the moment so far. So we really live in the moment, and as of yet, although we have performed on stage in many different establishments as well as in concert, as of yet we haven't really moved into the social arena to be able to participate and give help where help is needed.
Yeah, I believe that will be the next chapter at some point.
I'm sure
that sounds really fun.
Yeah, well, no, that's why we are together. I feel like that is the there's a level of significance, but it will play itself out. I did want to say I'm very excited next time I come to Philadelphia. Have you been able to perfect a vegan cheesesteak? Because I'm hungry right now, and I really want one right now. Have you been able?
We can take you to really great place. They have vegan cheesesteak.
They do.
Yes, they do.
And you haven't asked on how they make the product. I figured you'd go right home and try to make it from scratch.
Right. I do those things.
She does those things. In fact, not long ago, I would say about an hour ago, she made just a snack, and part of it was a portobello mushroom with vegan cheese in it.
Wow.
So it was just delicious.
Yeah,
it really was.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, I last time I talked to Aya, we spent about a half hour talking about how she makes soy from scratch. It was just really remarkable.
You know something? This morning I was training 2 gallons of sake I made from the scratch.
Oh, man. All right. Yeah, I want to drink, too. Listen.
Yes, please, next time come over.
And listen.
And we are going to have a late New Year's party.
Well, I absolutely. I can't say this. I might as well say this enough. Pat, it's been special, but, you gave me sort of the rocket booster with the first interview, but, I've taken it from here. I've got a West Coast contingent with Soul Brothers. I got Chicanos. I got my Italian. Pat, was your dad? Was he of Middle Eastern descent? Did he have Middle Eastern blood in him?
My dad was born here in the United States, but my father was first generation here. My grandfather, Pop's dad, was born in Palermo, as part of Sicily. And Mom was, of course, from Calabria, Italy.
Wow, I read that book Stregonona to my daughter every night, and she was from the town of Calabria as well.
Ah.
You know, I was going to say, just the idea of the ethnic melting pot of a family that I never knew existed, which includes Aya and you, and Bobby Rose and all the rest. You know, this has been an amazingly spiritual year. I think I have found faith through multi-spiritualism, and I just wanted to thank you guys so much. I look forward to collaborating with you in the future, and I wish you the best in 2012.
Jake, thank you so much. We wish you the same.
Thank you.
And most of all, happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
You and the family, man.
Thank you, my man. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year, Jake.
Happy New Year,
no.
Jake. I just wanted to say, as we close here in 2011, thank you so much to my sponsors, Hackenberg Piano Company, Badar Chinese Restaurant, the Stereo Hospital, Dr. Dwayne Dyson, Coffee Times, Asian Massage. Dan, what else am I missing here? Baitong and Pretzinger Auto Agency. It's been the Stereo Hospital. People have just been tremendously committed to my show to allow me to pursue my archiving and my pursuit of my jazz heroes. It culminated today. Year one has wound up, but I look forward to getting into year two. And I think there's a lot of potential for the new year. I think there's a lot of opportunities to go into bluegrass music, and from the same time period. Just next month, I will have Richard Green, the great violinist, on the program. I will have Ellen McElwain, the great folk singer who was very close with Jimi Hendrix. I will have Ed Neumeister, who was the leader of the Village Vanguard Big Band on Monday nights for a long time. And I will end the month with Ron Thomas, a stealth piano player from the Pennsylvania area who collaborated quite a bit with Pat Martino, the guitar player who we just had on the program. But thank you, Dan, for all your help this year, and I look forward to continuing to collaborate with you in the future. This is the Jake Feinberg Show, everybody. Happy New Year, everyone, and we'll see you next year.
KJLL, South Tucson. CBS News, I'm Sam Litzinger. Dubai says hello to 2012. Huge fireworks display there. Hundreds of thousands of people will be watching the ball drop tonight in New York's Times Square. CBS News correspondent Seth Doan says lots and lots of law enforcement eyes will be watching them.
There are police everywhere here.